Let's have a look on what happens with tractors. The elephant in the room. Are tractors in a sushi belt, in a very long sushi belt, actually working? Is my big beautiful belt functional? And the answer, as you can see it already, is a crystal clear Jein, which is German. It means yes and no. Tractors are standing around. I launched the game with the mods I'm currently having, and they're standing. I have to launch every single tractor here. And the interesting one, you can see it here, they are standing always on the same spot. So I just have to drive them a little bit and then they continue driving. I have no idea why it's that. Different location. Let's place a marker, just to be sure. So place a marker here. Then I drive this guy a little bit, not much. Continuous driving. The next one stops at exact the same location. As if there is something. I have to push it across, then it continues driving. The next one stops exactly the same location. That happens with minor variations. Here's such a variation. After launching the game, these tractors decided to clock up here in the Dune Desert. Okay, it must be the fault of the first one, right? Based on what we've just seen before with the others. I place a marker, just to mark myself the location. Get into the truck. Yep, there's enough fuel. Let's drive it a bit. And it continues driving, but this time the others are not closing in. They continue to stay where they have been. So I'm driving this a little bit. It does not go. I drive a little bit. It's still not going. Okay, then I drive it across the mark from the first one. Yep, and now it's driving. Same drama with the next, not moving. I drive it a little bit. It is not continuing to drive. Push a little bit more. Yeah, no auto drive whatsoever. Not happening, the others are waiting. And then I push it across the mark from the very first one and it drives nicely. But even if I push them all to start driving, there's no guarantee that they actually do the thing, because, as I show here, then suddenly clock up somewhere else. These tractors all decided to form a long queue in my startup base. Yeah, there must be a big thing in front of. No, it's not. The first one is just standing in front of the entry to the station. Does nothing. Now, I'm looking to my mods, and I add a mod. I'm adding an essential mod, as it turns out to be essential. Vehicle ghosting. This vehicle ghosting mod shall remove collisions from the vehicles. That means if the driving eye believes there is something blocking the way on the road, it continues driving. And here's the situation after launching the game. They're all driving nicely. See, all driving. It's a no worry, except due to what happened before, they're a little bit in groups closer to each other. And when they're closer to each other, then funny things happen. They get trouble loading fuel. And that leads to, after a while, that some tractors run out of fuel in the middle of the road. Because they couldn't refuel. Like this guy, no fuel. Try again, without any mods. I'm loading. This time I'm loading my very first playthrough, the final of my very first playthrough. See, no triangle front, that means this one has never been touched by any mod. I'm loading it. And the reason why I want to test the tractor's behavior on this map is not just because it has never seen any mods. It's also because in this wonderful canyon between northern forest and close to the coast there's nothing. Okay, and 1 or 2 masts are there, but beyond that, no buildings, no tracks. And in that place where I haven't built anything in the Dune Desert, except at the very end a few radar towers. So it's all virgin territory. And therefore very nice for testing a very long road. A long road that shall go through all the way through the canyon between Northern Forest and the coastal area, starting in the Rocky Desert, passing through that canyon, leading then into the Dune Desert, and through the Dune Desert to the eastern side of the Dune Desert where there's coal. And in the same way as in my playthrough, the Big Beautiful Belt, I'm using here coal for everything. But this time I'm using only coal. There are no further items in the mix. This is 100% only coal for transport and for fuel. So I start recording, and at the head end, here on the eastern side, Dune Desert, first comes an unloading station that removes all loaded coal, of course offering coal for fuel, followed by a load station which then pumps in new coal for transport and of course offering coal for fuel. This way, in each direction, I'm having new items in the list. So new coal objects are being transported, and now I'm recording all the way through the Dune Desert, through the wonderful canyon here still on the Dune Desert side. I really like this morning view. Yeah, because I'm playing vanilla, I can't fix the daytime. I have to run this test by whatever daytime the game is coming up with. All stations on the road are built the same way. It's always 4 stations on each side of the road too. 1 unloading, which is simply then forwarding the stuff to the second station where there's a loading. That's very similar to the setup that I use in my Big Beautiful Belt. The only difference is here it's only about coal, there's nothing else. And via Smart Splitter I ensure that the fuel in each station has priority and only the overflow gets forwarded into the cargo. Here the head station at the western end of this test track in the Rocky Desert. Here I'm removing all coal, and then on the opposite side I shall load again. And always every single station, does not matter if unload or load, every station offers coal for the fuel. So theoretically, if everything goes evenly, there shouldn't be any problem regards fuel. The interesting one is I had 100 fuel in the tank. I didn't use much here for recording the whole track without loading on the way. I'm saving the whole thing. Here's my test track, and saved. And let's try it again. Loaded with all tractors on the road. I have to mention I'm playing this on Linux. Linux in most games is even more stable than Windows, but just theoretically there could be something. But I have not detected any other issue whatsoever with Satisfactory. I can even flip very nicely between programs. Works wonderfully. So I'm loading now this track where tractors had been placed. And let's see how they behave after the game starts. And the interesting bit is here I placed the tractors, saved, restart game, load. It looks as if in that scenario, in the very first load after placement, all tractors are starting. they all seem to move immediately, without any mods. Yeah, so I'm placing a stopwatch to see what's going on. And they're happily driving. Looks nice, doesn't it? Watch the one on the right. That one just stopped after 13 seconds. So overall the impression occurs after about 30 seconds. It's still all relatively cool, except if we watch very closely on the top right, one truck stopped. After 5 minutes, it's a different picture. We have more locations where tractors stopped and queued up. And if you look on the very left, there's still one tractor driving. And let's see what happens when that one bumps into the queue in front of him. Coming in, and then suddenly all flashes red. And in the center middle, one starts driving again, all the other ones are stucking. So I would call that a proper issue. After about 5 minutes, the Sushi Belt based on tractors is dead, without mods. Now let's go for mods. And I'm adding just one mod, the vehicle ghosting mod, which removes the collisions from the vehicles. And of course the mod loader. No other mods, just that one. On a track that was used just by vanilla before, so has not seen any other mods yet. I'm loading the track. I'm loading it in the condition as it had been after I placed it the truck the first time and saved it, not after the last time measurement. It's the earlier one, which had not any issues. I'm loading it. And again, it looks like all are quite fine driving. Very similar view as before in vanilla. Start my stopwatch. And we know that on the right side, the very right one, top right, was the one that stopped first. Let's have a look on that one. That was about after 15-16 seconds. And it looks like this time it continues driving. So no immediate issue. Looks all is fine after about 30 seconds, yes. But I continue leaving it running. 5 minutes later, that's when in pure vanilla it all crashed and we got the red blinking. Here with that single mod it runs fine. No drama. All cool. But of course I'm curious and I want to leave it running a bit more. So I left the game running in the corner, watched a movie with my wife, came back and had a view. So, nearly 3 hours later, we have a bunch of tractors running out of fuel. And we know the explanation. It means tractors had been queuing up, forming groups very closely, overlapping, and then having problems on the loading station to get some fuel in. As a result, they drop out on the road without fuel. And I have quite a few after 3 hours. So even with that mod, I have problems because the mod, which does not keep the tractors on distance, they can come together, overlap, and have that issue on loading, which otherwise in vanilla is prohibited by having collision measures for the tractors, so they can't bump into each other. I removed now on my Big Beautiful Belt all tractors, except the ones on the very right there. But the Big Beautiful Belt itself, the long road from east to west, is now free of tractors, all removed. That's why I had this shredder station there. I placed tractors with an equal distance. and ensured that they always at the same distance to each other, so very, very much the same distance, reloaded it, and started my stopwatch again. The interesting bit here is, originally I had about 16 to 18 tractors on that big beautiful belt, which has two elements. It's a big element going from the west to the east, and then a smaller element which is an inner loop on the right. So after more than 30 minutes it still looks all fine, and after 4 hours, yeah, I like running it a long time, we can see in the inner ring on the right where I had 3 tractors, we have now 2 quite close to each other. Look on the inner ring on the right side. Here there are 2 tractors which are coming closer over time. But that's the situation after 4 hours. So in the inner ring I had 3 tractors. That means to me I have to remove 1 to make it more stable. I end up with a relative stable condition now with only 8 tractors, from 16 down to 8 on the very long track of the big beautiful belt. In the inner loop, in the dune desert, from about 5 down to 2. That seems to be stable. And on the coastline I had 3 tractors. That's a very short track on the coast. I reduced that to 2 just in case. And that seems to be a setup that actually works. So, what are the lessons learned here from the drama with tractors of the Sushi Belt? Conclusion. Tractors are definitely broken in the vanilla game. Satisfactory tractors are broken. We have a mod that fixes that issue, which stops the tractors on launch. It's the Vehicle Ghost one. And that mod has a disadvantage. It allows the vehicles then to overlap at the station. So as tractors running into issues when loading at stations if they're very, very close to each other. Because by some reason the stations are sucking in the necks as soon as they come into the radius. So I have to reduce the amount of tractors on the road to enable a relative equal distance. And it works. And with that, cheers. Have a good time. See you another one.